The soft hum of the colony's energy grid filled Aiden's small apartment as he studied the holographic screen floating before him. The message had appeared without warning, a glowing, silver envelope with no sender name. Curious, he tapped it gently, and a shimmering map unfolded in the air. Lines of light traced a path through dense forests and jagged mountains, leading to a small, isolated symbol, a grotto, hidden and marked only for a night of the full moon. Aiden leaned back, letting the glow from the hologram wash over his face. He had explored countless places on this planet, some dangerous, some breathtaking, but this felt different. There was a strange allure in the way the grotto was hidden, as if it existed just for those brave enough to find it. He frowned slightly, thinking about going alone. The path was risky, and the planet's forests were known for sudden storms and wild creatures. A careful explorer would not venture without a companion. That thought was interrupted by a knock at the door. Aiden opened it to find Lyra standing there, her dark hair tied back, eyes sparkling with curiosity. She held a small satchel and gave him a confident smile. "I heard about your latest map," she said, her voice calm but eager. "I think we should go together. Two heads are better than one, especially if we want to find this grotto safely." Aiden hesitated. He had worked alone for years, trusting only himself. But there was something in Lyra's presence, a quiet assurance, a clever mind shining behind her eyes that made him nod. "All right," he said finally. "Let's go. But this place is dangerous. We need to be careful." The next morning, they set out. The sun was just rising, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink. Birds with shimmering feathers flitted between the trees, and the air smelled sweet with the scent of alien flowers. Aiden led the way, studying the map and marking their path carefully. Lyra followed closely, occasionally pointing out signs of hidden dangers or unusual plants. As they moved deeper into the forest, the conversation began to flow naturally. They shared stories of their past adventures, narrow escapes, discoveries, and moments of pure wonder. Aiden spoke of his time mapping unexplored canyons, the thrill of seeing untouched landscapes for the first time. Lyra told him about her research on rare flora, her fascination with life that adapted in extraordinary ways to survive. With every story, the awkwardness between them faded, replaced by curiosity and respect. At one point, they reached a wide river, the water sparkling like liquid glass under the morning sun. The only way across was a fallen log stretching from one bank to the other. Aiden tested it carefully, but the log was slippery. Lyra watched him silently for a moment, then stepped forward. "Here, take my hand," she said. "It's easier if we do it together." He accepted her hand, feeling a slight warmth in the contact. Step by step, they crossed the log, balancing each other and laughing when a small wave splashed their feet. On the other side, they took a deep breath of relief, realizing how much trust had already grown between them. As the day passed, they encountered strange rock formations and glowing plants that seemed to pulse with life. Every time Aiden found a curious detail, Lyra's eyes would light up, and she would ask questions that made him see the place in a new way. It was as if the forest itself was drawing them closer together, teaching them patience, observation, and teamwork. By evening, they set up a small camp near a cluster of tall, silver-leaved trees. The map indicated they were close, but the grotto itself remained hidden, a secret waiting to reveal itself under the full moon. They sat by the fire, eating simple rations and watching the stars appear one by one. Aiden found himself noticing small things: how Lyra's eyes reflected the flames, the way she smiled when she spotted a rare flower. Lyra, in turn, was struck by Aiden's calm confidence, the way he studied the map and planned each move carefully. Neither spoke much after that. Words were not needed. There was an unspoken understanding forming between them, a quiet promise that this journey was not just about the grotto. It was about discovery, not only of the hidden world around them but also of something deeper: trust, companionship, and perhaps the beginnings of something more. As the night grew darker, the forest settled into silence, and the glow from the fire reflected in their eyes. Tomorrow, they would find the hidden grotto. But tonight, they simply sat together, sharing warmth and anticipation, ready for the adventure and the feelings it would bring. The morning sun filtered through the silver-leaved trees, casting long, delicate shadows across the forest floor. Aiden stirred first, shaking off the chill of the night. The fire from their small camp had died down, leaving only the soft glow of dawn to guide them. Lyra was already awake, quietly organizing their supplies. When she noticed Aiden stretching, she offered him a warm smile. "Ready to continue?" she asked. Aiden nodded. "We're close. I can feel it. The map says the grotto isn't far." They set off together, moving carefully along narrow trails hidden by thick undergrowth. The forest was alive with sounds, distant calls of strange birds, the rustle of small creatures in the bushes, and the gentle babble of a stream nearby. Every now and then, Aiden would stop to check the map, and Lyra would point out unusual markings on the trees or patterns in the rocks. At one point, they came across a steep incline. Loose stones made footing difficult, and a wrong step could send them tumbling down the slope. Aiden stepped forward first, testing each rock, but Lyra quickly joined him. "Take my hand," she said. "We'll move together." Their hands brushed, sending a small spark of warmth through both of them. Step by step, they climbed, helping each other when the stones shifted beneath their feet. At the top, they paused, panting but smiling, proud of their teamwork. Aiden realized he was beginning to trust her instincts more than his own at times, and Lyra felt a comforting assurance in his calm, steady presence. As the sun climbed higher, the forest opened into a wide meadow dotted with glowing flowers. Their petals shimmered faintly in the daylight, and a soft wind carried a sweet, unfamiliar fragrance. Lyra knelt to examine the plants. "These are rare," she whispered, tracing her fingers over the delicate petals. "I've read about them in old records, but I never imagined I'd see them like this." Aiden watched her with quiet admiration. He could see the excitement in her eyes, the genuine awe that came with discovering something extraordinary. For a moment, they simply stood together in silence, taking in the beauty around them. The peacefulness did not last long. From the edge of the meadow came the sudden snap of a branch. Both Aiden and Lyra froze, scanning the trees for movement. A group of small, curious creatures peeked from behind the bushes, their bright eyes reflecting the sunlight. They were harmless, more interested in observing the humans than approaching them. Aiden let out a slow breath. "Looks like we have company," he said with a grin. Lyra laughed, the sound soft and melodic. It felt natural, a simple joy in the midst of the unknown. By midday, the trail led them to a winding river, wider than the one they had crossed before. The water was crystal clear, and the current swift. Aiden frowned, studying the map. There was no bridge, only a narrow, fallen tree that stretched from one side to the other. "This will be tricky," he said. "We have to cross carefully." Lyra nodded. "I'll go first, then you follow." She stepped onto the log with careful precision, arms stretched for balance. Aiden held his breath, watching her steady movements. When she reached the other side, she turned and held out her hand. "Come on, you can do it," she encouraged. Aiden stepped forward, gripping her hand, feeling the slight tremor of the log beneath his feet. Slowly, carefully, he followed her across. When both were safely on the other side, they laughed together, the sound echoing through the trees. That small victory felt larger than it should have, a shared triumph that deepened their connection. As the afternoon sun began to soften, they continued through winding paths and hidden clearings. Each obstacle they faced together, steep climbs, rushing streams, or tangled roots, brought them closer. They began to anticipate each other's movements, offering hands, guidance, or quiet reassurance without a word. By the time evening arrived, they found a safe clearing to rest. The sun painted the sky in shades of orange and pink, and the forest seemed to hum with life around them. Sitting together, sharing water and simple rations, they felt the growing bond between them. Their conversations grew more personal, filled with stories, laughter, and quiet smiles. As the stars began to appear, Aiden realized that the journey was no longer just about reaching the grotto. It was about the shared experience, the trust, and the small sparks of connection forming between him and Lyra. Lyra, watching the stars reflected in the nearby stream, felt a warmth that had nothing to do with the day's sun. Tomorrow, they would see the hidden grotto for the first time. But tonight, in the fading light of the forest, both understood that their journey was becoming something far greater than a simple adventure. It was the beginning of a bond neither had expected but both silently welcomed. The night was calm, with a gentle breeze moving through the forest. Aiden and Lyra had left their camp early, knowing that the full moon would soon rise and reveal the hidden grotto. The path ahead was narrow, almost invisible under the thick canopy of trees. The forest seemed quieter than usual, as if it were holding its breath, waiting for them to reach their destination. Aiden led the way carefully, following the glowing markers on the map. Lyra walked close behind, occasionally brushing aside low-hanging branches. Every now and then, she would pause to observe a small, glowing plant or a rock formation that seemed unusual. "Look at this," she whispered, pointing to a tiny cluster of crystal-like flowers that reflected the moonlight even before it had fully risen. "I've never seen anything like this before." Aiden knelt to study them, amazed at the delicate structure. "It's incredible. Nature never stops surprising us." He stood up and glanced around, his eyes catching something in the distance, a faint silver shimmer beyond a waterfall. His heart quickened. "That must be it," he said. "The grotto is just beyond that waterfall." Lyra's eyes widened. "It's beautiful, even from here. Let's move carefully." They approached the waterfall, its water cascading down with a soft, musical roar. Behind it, a narrow passage revealed a faint glow, pulsing like a heartbeat. Aiden and Lyra exchanged a glance, a mixture of excitement and awe on their faces. Together, they stepped through the cool curtain of water droplets sparkling in the moonlight. Inside, the grotto was unlike anything they had ever seen. The walls were lined with bioluminescent crystals that glowed softly in shades of blue, green, and silver. Pools of clear water reflected the light, creating 1,000 tiny moons within the cavern. Strange plants grew along the edges, their leaves shimmering as if coated in liquid light. The air was fresh and slightly sweet, carrying the scent of flowers and damp earth. Aiden could barely speak. "It's perfect," he murmured. Lyra nodded, her eyes wide with wonder. "It feels magical," she whispered, stepping carefully over a small stream that ran through the grotto. Every step seemed to reveal more beauty, delicate rock formations, tiny waterfalls, and hidden nooks filled with glowing moss. As they explored, Aiden noticed the way Lyra moved, careful yet curious, her fingers occasionally brushing the glowing plants as she studied them. A warmth rose in his chest. He admired her sense of wonder, her intelligence, and the way she made even the simplest discoveries feel exciting. Lyra, in turn, noticed how he carefully observed every detail, how his calm presence seemed to protect the space around them, and how much she felt safe with him by her side. At one point, their paths brought them to a small, crystal-clear pool. The water shimmered under the glow of the crystals, creating a perfect reflection of the moon above. Aiden knelt by the edge, dipping a hand into the water. Lyra joined him, and their fingers accidentally touched. Both froze for a moment, their eyes meeting in the soft light. A quiet warmth passed between them, an unspoken acknowledgement of the bond that had been quietly growing over their journey. They laughed softly, breaking the tension, and continued exploring. The grotto seemed endless, filled with hidden corners and sparkling treasures waiting to be discovered. Every step brought new marvels, but also a sense of closeness. They shared observations, helped each other over slippery stones, and occasionally exchanged small, lingering glances that spoke more than words ever could. As they ventured deeper, the full moon rose high in the sky, casting a silver glow through cracks in the cavern ceiling. The grotto seemed to come alive, the crystals reflecting the light in dazzling patterns. Aiden and Lyra paused in a small alcove, surrounded by sparkling walls and the gentle sound of dripping water. "It's incredible," Lyra breathed, her voice soft with awe. "I never imagined anything like this existed." Aiden smiled, feeling the same amazement and more. "Neither did I. But I'm glad we discovered it together." They sat by the edge of the pool, letting the quiet beauty of the grotto sink in. The soft glow of the crystals, the moonlight, and the gentle sounds of water created a perfect moment of peace. For a while, they simply sat together, feeling the magic of the hidden place and the warmth of each other's presence. In that serene silence, both realized something important: the grotto was more than a hidden wonder of nature. It had become a sanctuary for them, a place where trust, admiration, and quiet feelings could grow freely. In the hidden moonlit grotto, their journey had shifted from exploration to something far deeper, a shared discovery of each other and the bond forming between them. The hidden grotto glowed softly under the full moon, casting shimmering reflections across the crystal-lined walls. Aiden and Lyra moved cautiously, their steps echoing lightly in the still air. Though the grotto was breathtaking, both knew that hidden beauty often came with hidden dangers. Every explorer learned to respect the unpredictable nature of such places, and tonight, that lesson would prove true. As they wandered deeper, they came across a narrow passage between two towering crystal formations. The floor was slick with water, and tiny streams crossed the path. Aiden tested each step carefully, placing his feet precisely on dry spots. Lyra followed, her hand occasionally brushing his shoulder for balance. For a moment, everything seemed calm, almost peaceful. Then, without warning, the ground beneath Lyra shifted. A small section of rock gave way, sliding with a soft rumble. Lyra lost her balance and let out a startled cry. Aiden reacted instantly, grabbing her hand and steadying her. "Careful," he warned, his eyes scanning the path ahead. "The grotto isn't as stable as it looks." Lyra nodded, her pulse racing. "I didn't expect that," she admitted, brushing water from her sleeve. "It's tricky here." They continued, moving more cautiously than before. Each step required attention, patience, and trust. Tiny avalanches of stones and water occasionally fell from the walls above, reminding them that the grotto was alive, shifting and changing even as they explored. Aiden noticed how quickly Lyra adapted, how her eyes searched for stable footholds, and how she instinctively reached out when needed. He admired her resilience and focus. As they turned a corner, they discovered a hidden chamber filled with bioluminescent mushrooms growing in clusters along the walls. Their soft glow revealed a series of uneven steps leading upward. Aiden stepped carefully, testing each one, while Lyra followed closely. Halfway up, a small stone dislodged and began sliding down the steps. Lyra reacted immediately, grabbing Aiden's arm. Together, they stabilized it before it could cause a misstep. "That was close," Lyra said, her voice tinged with relief. "I think this grotto is testing us." Aiden chuckled softly, though his eyes remained vigilant. "It's beautiful, but we can't let our guard down. Every discovery comes with challenges." As they moved forward, the path narrowed further, winding around natural rock formations that towered like ancient guardians. Water dripped from the ceiling in irregular patterns, and slick patches of moss made footing treacherous. Aiden and Lyra moved as one, instinctively helping each other, offering hands for balance, and exchanging quiet words of encouragement. Each moment of reliance strengthened the trust between them. At one point, they reached a small, reflective pool. The moonlight from a narrow opening above danced across the surface, creating a delicate pattern of silver and blue. Aiden knelt, dipping his hand into the water, and Lyra joined him. As their fingers touched accidentally, both felt a warmth that had nothing to do with the water. They shared a quiet smile, a moment of connection amidst the tension of the grotto's challenges. Suddenly, a soft rumble echoed through the chamber. Loose rocks tumbled from the ceiling, and a section of the path shifted beneath their feet. Aiden grabbed Lyra's hand, steadying her as they carefully navigated the unstable ground. Each step demanded complete focus, and each success brought a surge of shared triumph. Once they reached a more stable area, they paused to catch their breath. Their clothes were damp, and their hearts still raced from the near misses, but neither complained. Instead, they exchanged a look of quiet understanding. The grotto had tested them, and they had faced it together. The experience strengthened not just their skills but also their bond. Lyra spoke softly, breaking the silence. "I've never trusted anyone like this before," she admitted. "It feels easy with you, even in danger." Aiden smiled, a warmth spreading through him that had nothing to do with the grotto's glow. "I feel the same," he said. "I wouldn't want to face this place with anyone else." The rest of the evening passed with careful exploration, each step deliberate, each discovery shared. The grotto revealed small wonders, hidden caves, sparkling streams, and delicate crystal formations. Yet, the real treasure was the connection growing between them, forged in trust, courage, and shared moments of awe. As they finally settled near a quiet, glowing pool for the night, the grotto seemed to hum softly around them. The dangers they had faced had not only tested their skills but also deepened their bond. In the hidden moonlit grotto, amidst its beauty and unpredictability, Aiden and Lyra realized that their journey had become more than an adventure. It was a shared experience of trust, admiration, and the beginnings of something far more meaningful. The glow of the crystals bathed the grotto in a gentle light, casting dancing reflections across the still pools of water. After the challenges of the day, Aiden and Lyra found a quiet corner near a cascading waterfall. The sound of falling water was soothing, filling the space with a calm rhythm that contrasted with the excitement and tension of earlier adventures. They sat close together on a smooth rock, letting their legs dangle near the edge of the water. For a few moments, neither spoke. The air was filled with soft murmurs of water and the distant echo of small drips from the cave ceiling. Aiden watched Lyra as she traced her fingers along the edge of a pool, fascinated by the tiny glowing fish swimming just beneath the surface. Her eyes reflected the soft light, wide with wonder and curiosity. He felt a warmth he had not expected, a quiet affection that had been growing since they first met. Lyra turned toward him, catching his gaze. There was a softness in her eyes that Aiden had not noticed before, a mixture of trust, admiration, and something tender. "I never thought a place like this could exist," she whispered. "It feels alive, in a way." Aiden nodded, his hand hovering near hers. "It does," he said. "And sharing it with someone makes it even more special." Their fingers brushed lightly as they reached for the same crystal near the pool's edge. The touch was gentle, a small spark passing between them. Neither pulled away, both silently acknowledging the bond that had formed. The grotto, with all its beauty and hidden wonders, had become more than a destination. It was a place where they could be honest, where words were not always needed to express feelings. Lyra sighed, leaning back slightly to watch the water ripple under the soft glow. "I've never had someone I could rely on like this," she admitted quietly. "Not just for safety, but for understanding. You make everything feel lighter." Aiden felt a surge of emotion. He reached out, gently brushing a strand of hair from her face. "I feel the same," he said softly. "Being here with you, it's different. It's right." For a moment, the world seemed to disappear. The flickering lights of the grotto, the gentle sound of water, the faint scent of flowers in the air all merged into a single feeling of closeness. They sat together, shoulders touching, hands occasionally brushing, each aware of the other's presence in a way that went beyond words. As the evening deepened, they began to share stories, their voices low and filled with warmth. Aiden spoke of his childhood dreams of exploring the unknown, the loneliness he often felt when he traveled alone. Lyra shared her own experiences, of searching for someone who truly understood her, someone who could share in both wonder and challenge. The stories wove together like threads, creating a tapestry of trust, empathy, and mutual respect. When a soft glow from the crystals caught their attention, they leaned over the pool together, watching the tiny glowing fish swim gracefully. Lyra reached for Aiden's hand, and he clasped it gently, their fingers entwining naturally. It was a simple gesture, but it spoke volumes: care, connection, and the comfort of being together in a place that felt removed from the rest of the world. "I think this grotto isn't just about discovery," Lyra said softly. "It's about understanding yourself and each other." Aiden nodded, his eyes meeting hers with a quiet smile. "I couldn't agree more. I've never felt this connected with anyone before." For the rest of the night, they remained in that small, glowing corner of the grotto, talking, laughing quietly, and sharing small, gentle moments of closeness. The dangers they had faced earlier now seemed distant, overshadowed by the warmth and trust that had grown between them. The grotto had become their sanctuary, a place where both could be themselves, free from the world's expectations and pressures. As they finally settled to rest, the soft glow of the crystals illuminating their faces, they both understood something deeply: this journey had changed them. It was no longer simply about exploring hidden places or witnessing beauty. It was about the connection they had formed, a bond built on trust, shared experiences, and quiet, unspoken affection. In the hidden moonlit grotto, under the gentle glow of crystals and the watchful eye of the full moon above, Aiden and Lyra discovered something more extraordinary than any treasure or hidden place. They discovered each other. And in that discovery, both felt a warmth and happiness that would remain with them long after they left the grotto behind. The morning light filtered through narrow openings in the grotto's ceiling, casting soft beams across the crystal-lined walls. Aiden and Lyra awoke to the gentle hum of the hidden sanctuary, their faces illuminated by the faint glow of bioluminescent plants that never seemed to fade. The events of the previous night, the quiet conversations, shared laughter, and gentle touches lingered in their minds like a warm glow, filling both with a sense of comfort and connection. After a simple breakfast of dried fruits and water, they prepared to explore deeper into the grotto. The map indicated that a hidden chamber lay beyond a series of narrow tunnels, and both were eager to see what wonders awaited them. Aiden led the way, moving carefully along the uneven stone paths. Lyra followed, her eyes alert for signs of unusual formations or glowing flora. The passage narrowed as they progressed, forcing them to move single file. Water dripped from the ceiling in irregular patterns, and small rocks threatened to shift beneath their feet. Aiden paused frequently, testing the ground and guiding Lyra over tricky sections. Each act of care, each shared glance, reinforced the bond that had been quietly growing between them. Finally, they reached a wider chamber. Their mouths fell open in awe. The room was filled with rare glowing gems embedded in the walls and floor, casting a kaleidoscope of colors across the cavern. Pools of crystal clear water reflected the light, creating a mesmerizing effect. Strange, delicate plants grew along the edges, their petals shimmering as if they contained the sunlight itself. Aiden stepped forward, examining the formations. "I've never seen anything like this," he whispered, his voice barely audible. "It's incredible." Lyra knelt beside a small cluster of glowing plants. "It feels alive," she said softly, tracing her fingers along the petals. "As if the grotto itself is welcoming us." They moved through the chamber carefully, collecting small samples of plants and stones in a way that preserved the beauty of the grotto. Every action required teamwork. Aiden lifted Lyra over a tricky ledge, and she pointed out stable paths for him to follow. Their cooperation was seamless, almost instinctive, a reflection of the trust and connection that had grown stronger over the past days. As they reached the center of the chamber, a small waterfall poured into a serene pool, the water glowing faintly with the reflection of the surrounding gems. They sat on a smooth rock nearby, catching their breath and taking in the beauty around them. "This is more than I imagined," Lyra said, her voice filled with wonder. "But the best part is experiencing it with you." Aiden smiled, feeling a warmth spread through him. "I feel the same. None of this would feel as special without you here." For a few moments, they simply sat together, letting the magic of the grotto surround them. Their hands brushed lightly, and this time, neither pulled away. The subtle touch carried an unspoken message of care, trust, and growing affection. They shared a quiet smile, the unspoken understanding between them deepening. After a while, they explored a small hidden tunnel that led to a tiny chamber with a natural stone pedestal at its center. Upon it rested a smooth, perfectly round crystal, glowing softly. Aiden reached out, and Lyra's hand covered his in a gentle touch. Together, they lifted it carefully, marveling at its beauty. "It's perfect," Lyra whispered. "A treasure, but also a symbol. A symbol of our journey." Aiden nodded, feeling the truth of her words. The grotto had given them more than rare plants and crystals, it had given them shared experiences, trust, and a growing connection that neither had anticipated. As they prepared to leave the chamber, Aiden looked at Lyra. "This adventure, it's been incredible. And it's not just because of what we found. It's because we did it together." Lyra smiled warmly, squeezing his hand. "Exactly. We're a team. And I think we make each other stronger." They began the journey back toward the main part of the grotto, carrying their small collection of treasures carefully. Each step was lighter than before, not because the path was easier, but because they shared it together. Every glance, every touch, and every smile reinforced the bond that had grown between them. By the time they reached a familiar pool near the grotto's entrance, the glow of the crystals seemed even brighter, reflecting the joy and connection that had formed between them. Aiden and Lyra sat side by side, letting the tranquil lights around them. In the hidden moonlit grotto, amid its treasures and wonders, they had discovered something far more precious than any gem, a shared triumph and a connection that promised many more adventures together. The soft glow of dawn began to filter through the openings in the grotto, painting the walls in shades of gold and silver. Aiden and Lyra sat side by side near the pool where they had rested the night before, their hands brushing gently as they watched the first rays of sunlight reflect off the crystal formations. The hidden grotto, which had been a place of mystery, challenge, and wonder, now felt like a sanctuary, a memory they would carry with them forever. "Tomorrow, we'll have to leave," Lyra said softly, breaking the comfortable silence. Her voice carried a hint of sadness, though her eyes shone with the excitement of their shared experience. Aiden nodded, squeezing her hand lightly. "I know. But what we discovered here, it's ours, and it will stay with us. No one can take this away." They packed their small collection of glowing plants and crystals, careful not to disturb the grotto's delicate beauty. Every motion was filled with care, not only for the treasures they carried but for the experience itself. The grotto had tested them, challenged them, and shown them wonders, but it had also revealed something far more meaningful, the bond between them. As they walked toward the waterfall that marked the grotto's entrance, the moonlight still lingered in soft patches on the crystal walls. Each step brought a mix of joy and nostalgia. Aiden glanced at Lyra, noticing the way her eyes sparkled in the glow. He felt a surge of affection, a quiet certainty that this adventure had changed both of their lives. When they emerged into the open air, the forest greeted them with the familiar sounds of rustling leaves and distant bird calls. The first rays of the sun touched the treetops, and a gentle breeze carried the scent of flowers and wet earth. For a moment, they simply stood there, taking in the beauty of the world outside the grotto, feeling the freedom of being back under the open sky. "I'll never forget this place," Lyra said, her voice filled with wonder. "Or this journey, or you." Aiden smiled, warmth filling his chest. "I feel the same. This adventure, it's not just about discovering hidden places. It's about what we discovered about ourselves, and each other." They began the walk back to the colony, moving slowly, savoring the last moments of the journey through the forest. Along the way, they pointed out small wonders, flowers, rock formations, and tiny streams that reminded them of the grotto's magic. Their laughter echoed softly through the trees, a melody of shared joy and newfound closeness. As the colony came into view, Aiden and Lyra paused. The familiar buildings and energy grid seemed ordinary compared to the hidden wonders they had experienced. Yet, they both understood that the real treasure wasn't the grotto itself, it was the connection they had formed. Every glance, every touch, and every shared triumph along the way had woven a bond that could not be undone by distance or time. Aiden turned to Lyra, taking both her hands in his. "This journey has changed me," he said. "I've realized that adventures are better when shared, and that some discoveries are far more important than anything you can see with your eyes." Lyra smiled, a soft glow on her face. "I know what you mean. I've always searched for someone who could share in my wonder, and I found you." They stood in silence for a moment, letting the words settle between them. The bond they had built through exploration, danger, and quiet moments of connection had grown into something undeniable. It was a trust that promised companionship, understanding, and the joy of shared discovery. As they entered the colony, people passed by, unaware of the hidden wonders that lay just beyond the forest. But Aiden and Lyra didn't need anyone to understand. The grotto had been their secret, a place of magic, growth, and connection. And now, it had given them something far greater: a shared beginning, a promise of adventures yet to come, and a bond that neither time nor distance could break. They walked side by side, hands entwined, hearts light with the memory of the moonlit grotto. Every glance, every smile, was a reminder that their journey was far from over. The hidden grotto had been just the beginning. Together, they would explore new places, face new challenges, and create more moments of wonder and joy. And as the sun rose higher, casting golden light across the colony, Aiden and Lyra felt a quiet certainty: the world was vast, full of mysteries, and filled with beauty. But the greatest discovery of all was right beside them: the trust, friendship, and affection they had found in each other. In that moment, they knew that no matter where their journeys took them, they would always carry the magic of the hidden moonlit grotto in their hearts, and the promise of a shared future glowing just as brightly.